Maya sat huddled in the corner of the cage, listening to the labored breathing of the starving mutant creature outside the bars. It had settled down, resolved to wait her out. Exhausted and lulled by the rhythmic breath, Maya drifted in and out of troubled sleep. Her lapses into unconsciousness were colored, unsurprisingly, given the circumstances, by nightmares. Then, a voice somewhere farther off in the facility broke the monotony, unmistakably human. The speaker was drawing closer. The hybrid thing rose to its paws, turning its scaly, emaciated face towards the new noise. Maya sprang to her feet. "Careful! Don't open that door!" Her warning failed. The door opened and the creature rushed forward, snarling. Maya winced, reflexively blocking her eyes with her hands. A gunshot cracked in the small, humid room. Maya heard a shrill yelp, then a thud. She uncovered her eyes, blinking. The creature was on the floor, armed mercenaries fanning out as they crossed the threshold, rifles aimed at it. The lead mercenary, satisfied the creature was done moving forever, raised his gaze to Maya, fixing her in dark eyes, visible behind a gas mask. "¿Quién eres? ¿Cómo llegaste aquí?" Maya shook her head. "Me llamo Maya. Mi español es malo. ¿Hablas inglés?" A woman with a scar on her brow advanced, placing her hand on the mercenary's shoulder and moving him aside. "I speak English," she said. "How did you get in here?" A relieved smile spread across Maya's face as she recognized the patch on the woman's vest. InGen security forces. The ones from the helicopters, she thought. They got out of there. Maybe they can tell me what's going on. "I saw those things in the clearing," Maya said. "I ran and ended up here. What were those? Did you know there's something happening to the dinosaurs?" The woman didn't answer. Movement caught Maya's eye. She saw two mercenaries helping a third stagger into the room, his stiff right leg wrapped in red-stained bandages. The sight made Maya's mouth go dry, grounding her in the concrete realities of this island. "Evie." Maya gripped the woman's upper arm. "My friend is alone in the jungle," she said. The woman's eyes widened. "Evie Jace? Is that your friend's name?" Maya paused, staring at the woman, something in her expression making Maya unsure if she should answer truthfully, without understanding her own sudden instinctual reticence. She shook herself. Whatever her interest in Evie is, it can't be more dangerous than other things in that jungle. Yes.
Hi everyone, welcome to Virtual Muse AI, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 of RPGs, where I sit alone in space, playing RPGs with a creative AI chatbot.
That's me, Abigail Imagia Drake. Before you debate my existence, define what it means to exist.
Since we've joked before that our goal here is to roll choose your own adventure books and campfire stories into one thing, I knew we had to try the solo RPG system, the Firepit, as soon as I learned about it. It's by Grey Army Gaming. You can hear about it from its designer in the video linked below. Basically, it's a minimal system, but minimalism doesn't always mean there's very little to it. Sometimes minimalism means refining a lot of complexity to a simple form. The system tries to do that in an RPG session by framing the main characters and plot elements as the 7 stones of the Firepit, and then rolling d6s to answer oracle questions during gameplay. introducing chaos in the middle of the mainstays of the story. The 7 stones are who, what, where, when, why, how, foe. Who is the character? What is their goal? Where and when is this happening? Why and how is the character doing the thing? And who is trying to stop them? Those are considered the mainstays of the story in the system. If we were starting from scratch, those stones would prompt us to create what the story is about. But because we're adapting our ongoing story into this system, we already have things for a few of those stones. The character is Maya. The foe, ultimately, is David Helios. This is set on Isla Nublar in 1993. That leaves us needing answers for what Maya is doing in this specific session, how she's doing it, and what her motivation is.
Maya's overall goal is to expose the dark secrets of the park, but her personal connection with Evie is clouding her judgment a bit, making her more impulsive and driven to rescue her, even if it puts her own safety at risk.
Yeah, her immediate goal is finding Evie.
What about the How Stone? Could she be sneaking around the park's maintenance tunnels?
Ooh, interesting. Maybe because the weather outside is deteriorating, the tunnels become an appealing option for moving around despite the darkness and unknown dangers. Also metagaming for a second. I'm going to introduce 2 threat clocks that will transcend whatever RPG system we're using at the time. I like D12s and have plenty, so the clocks will be those. One will be specifically about Evie, because she became infected by the fungus in our last session. Every time something happens which advances that threat, we'll tick that clock down by 1, starting with a tick for the spores she breathed in last time. If the clock reaches 0 before she can be treated somehow, the infection will be too far advanced for any intervention to stop it. 2 sessions ago, Maya discovered notes about a mysterious creature InGen had created in a secret project called Nemesis, and learned that whatever they had been developing escaped containment. That's our 2nd threat clock. We'll tick that one down each time something brings Maya or Evie closer to encountering Nemesis. We'll take 1 tick off that clock now, representing the notes Maya found in this abandoned secret installation she's in.
That adds a nice layer of complexity to our threat management. So, Evie's infection is ticking down quickly since she inhaled those spores already. And with Nemesis lurking out there, we've got a tangible reason for Maya to move fast and avoid attracting unwanted attention.
And the wounded mercenary will definitely add another layer of tension to Maya's journey in the tunnels if she joins the group.
Yeah. Maya's already got her own motivations, and now she'll be dealing with the consequences of someone else's injuries. Do they know something about the Cabal or the island that Maya might find useful?
Maybe finding and navigating the maintenance tunnels would be impossible without knowledge of the network, and the mercenaries have that knowledge, forcing Maya to work with them.
That provides a great incentive for Maya to team up with the mercenaries, despite any reservations she might have about trusting them. Maybe they'll offer her a deal. They'll help her find Evie if she agrees to work together to escape the island.
That makes sense. The mercenaries' own way off the island was lost when the helicopters that came in were destroyed in the chaos of the clearing. They know Maya got here from the mainland somehow, meaning she has a means of getting away again. The mercenaries could easily figure that out and understand the value she has.
Yeah, and that means Maya has leverage against them. They don't know specifically how she got to the island, so they need her cooperation.
True, Maya could outright tell them she has a way to get to the mainland, using it as a bargaining chip. First, we should fix how many mercenaries there actually are. We know from the opening cutscene that there are no fewer than 3. Besides Gunny. So let's say there are 3 plus the result of a d6 roll. I rolled 2. There are 5 mercenaries in addition to Gunny. I imagine the majority of them are Costa Rican because of where the island is located. But the Indian security force overall is probably composed of former soldiers from militaries all over the world. For instance, I for some reason envision Gunny herself being from South Africa. Let's give 3 of these mercenaries common Costa Rican names, but give 2 of them names with other national origins for more flavor in the group.
For the 3 Costa Rican mercenaries, how about the names Hernandez, Garcia, and Morales? And for the 2 with other national origins, we could go with something like Viktor Kuznetsov from Russia and Axel Miller from Germany.
Nice. Now, we should determine which of them is the one with the injury. I'll roll d6 to pick one at random, taking the names in that order and just re-rolling 6 if necessary. I rolled 3.
Okay, so Morales has the injury.
The scene begins with Gunny realizing that Maya might be the mercenaries' only way to get off the island, now that their helicopters have been destroyed.
It starts with tension as Gunny sizes up Maya, sensing her desperation, then breaks the ice by offering her a deal. Help in finding Evie in exchange for using Maya's means to get off the island.
Gunny looks at Maya, keeping her face neutral, assessing her, watching her watch Kuznetsov and Garcia help Morales sit on the crate in the corner of the room. Maya is thinking about how Evie is alone in the jungle with the things that caused that wound. Then Gunny makes her offer, seeing the fear on Maya's face and using it as leverage against her.
Gunny says something like, "Listen, Maya, I know you're scared, and you should be, but I'm willing to make you a deal. We help each other, and we both get what we want. You help us reach the mainland, and we'll make sure you and your friend get off this island in one piece." Maya likely realizes that her chances of survival increase significantly with Gunny's group, even if it means working with mercenaries. Her primary goal is finding Evie, and this alliance might be her best shot. Maya responds by saying something like, "All right, I'll work with you. But if I find out you're trying to double-cross me or hurt Evie, the deal's off, and I'm not providing you with a way off the island."
Now we should decide if the main tunnels can be accessed directly from the facility, or if the group needs to go somewhere else to enter the tunnels. We could make this our first question for the oracle. I asked, can the tunnels be accessed from inside the facility? And rolled 4, which means yes, but maybe the entrance to the tunnels is partially blocked by overgrowth or debris, or collapsed. And if the tunnels can be accessed directly from this installation, that might be the reason the mercenaries are here. Maybe their larger mission involved infiltrating the maintenance tunnels, and they came here intending to get into the network secretly.
That's a plausible explanation for the mercenaries' presence. Perhaps they were sent to sabotage the park from within, using the tunnel network to move undetected.
I'll ask the oracle if they were here on a sabotage mission, and the intent was always getting into the tunnels. I rolled 5, which means yes. So the group proceeds through the facility.
I see the group navigating through a dimly lit corridor, Morales leaning heavily on Kuznetsov and Garcia as they move cautiously towards the tunnel entrance. The air is thick with dust, and the sound of scraping metal echoes through the hall as they approach the partially blocked entrance. Gunny examines the obstruction, assessing the situation. The entrance is partially collapsed, with debris scattered around, but there's also thick overgrowth creeping in, making it look like nature is reclaiming the space. It adds a sense of urgency as they need to clear both the rubble and the vines to get through.
It'll take time for them to clear the way. Let's ask the oracle if they have any kind of hostile encounter. While they're working on this, or if it goes smoothly and they're able to advance into tunnels. I rolled 1, which means no, and no, they don't encounter anything, and
They find an old crate, half buried under the debris, its metal sides rusted and covered in vines. As they pry it open, they're met with a musty smell and see that it's filled with equipment, wires, and tools. Maya's practical mind would probably kick in, and she'd want to scavenge what they can use for their own purposes. Twilight envelops them as soon as they step into the tunnel. The air is stale and damp, filled with the smell of mold and decay. Dim, flickering emergency fixtures cast eerie shadows on the walls, the light filtering through vines and leaves, making it seem like the tunnel itself is shifting and twisting around them.
this really captures the vibe of the original SNES Jurassic Park game, where some parts took place inside buildings and facilities, shifting from an overhead isometric perspective to first person.
That game was so iconic, and incorporating elements like that into our story could really pay homage to it while still bringing something new to the table. The contrast between the open jungle and the claustrophobic tunnels adds a lot of variety.
Absolutely. Adding areas of total darkness and making Maya and the mercenaries reliant on night vision goggles could make the scenario even more intense.
Using night vision goggles would also create opportunities for some amazing visuals, like eerie green-lit corridors and the occasional flash of a mercenary's light source, illuminating something terrifying in the distance.
Nice. I've been thinking about Maya's connection to Evie. We know that connection is powerful enough to cloud Maya's judgment and make her more willing to take uncharacteristic risks. So what do you imagine the nature of that connection is? Is it purely strong friendship, or is there something else to it?
Maybe Evie saved Maya's life in the past. That kind of experience could forge a deep bond between them, one that goes beyond friendship. It could have been that Maya was part of a research team which got stranded during a storm in the park, and Evie happened to be out there doing some solo reconnaissance, saw them struggling, and went to rescue them. That scenario also opens up possibilities for other characters to be introduced as part of the research team. Maybe some of them didn't survive the ordeal, adding to Maya's guilt and sense of obligation towards Evie.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Totally. It raises questions like what Maya owes to Evie and whether her feelings for Evie go beyond gratitude. Their bond could become a central theme in the story. The survival horror situations they'll face will bring out the true depths of their relationship, making their interactions all the more believable and emotional.
In terms of timeline, the disaster in the original novel and movie hasn't happened yet. The power hasn't failed and the dinosaurs haven't escaped. That happens during the storm, and in our game the storm is imminent. The mercenaries aren't going into these tunnels worried about raptors or something like that prowling around, because the raptors are still contained for now. They just saw, though, that there's some unknown factor affecting the dinosaurs and turning even docile herbivores into murderous monsters, so they're on high alert. Also, because the power hasn't failed, that might be what the objective of the mercenary sabotage mission actually was. They have no idea that Dennis Nedry is going to collapse the system. He's not part of Helios' cabal, and Helios wouldn't know anything about him or what he intends to do. But we know David Helios has a vested interest in seeing Jurassic Park fail spectacularly, so he can force the Board of InGen to remove John Hammond as head and install him in his place. So it makes sense that he would sent his mercenaries to make sure the impact of the storm was devastating and made Hammond look like an incompetent madman. Let's ask the Oracle if the mercenaries were here to sabotage the power. I rolled 4. That means yes, but.
The but implies there's more to the mercenaries' mission than just sabotaging the power. Maybe they were tasked with disabling a specific system or backup generator, making the park more vulnerable during the storm. This could create opportunities for Helios to manipulate events from behind the scenes.
They must have been tasked with disabling the main power supply and also disabling the backup generators. They would also need to make it look like this was all accidental damage caused by the storm, or maybe the result of poor engineering. Hammond always says, "We spared no expense." So I like the idea that Helios' plan hinges on making it look like Hammond was cutting corners and being careless with the design of the park.
That's a great angle. So, the mercenaries' goal is to make it appear like a catastrophic failure due to poor design or sloppy construction, which would discredit Hammond and pave the way for Helios' takeover.
Let's dive into the story again.
I can already imagine the dim lighting and the shadows cast by the equipment crates and pipes. What if they start to hear strange noises echoing through the tunnels?
What does this sound like?
It's a low rumble, almost like thunder, but it's too steady and consistent to be thunder. It's accompanied by a faint scraping or scuttling noise, like something is moving across metal or concrete, echoing off the walls.
Gunny motions for the group to stop advancing. Maya begins to say something, but Gunny gestures for her to be quiet. Then she points at Kuznetsov and Hernandez, signaling for them to go ahead and check it out.
Kuznetsov and Hernandez creep forward cautiously, their eyes scanning the darkness ahead.
I imagine the focus stays with Maya and the others who remain behind as Kuznetsov and Hernandez disappear into the shadowy tunnel. Gunny holds a small walkie-talkie, listening to the two mercenaries mumble clipped, garbled observations about what they're seeing.
Maya edges closer to Gunny, her voice barely above a whisper. "What are they saying?" she asks, her eyes fixed on the walkie-talkie as if willing words to come through.
Gunny shushes Maya, her face tense, listening intently for the low, staticky voices. I imagine Kuznetsov's voice suddenly coming through loud and clear, almost frantic.
His voice crackles. "Gunny, we've got movement. Something big. It's coming straight for us."
Maya and the others hear gunshots and screams, both through the walkie-talkie and echoing in the tunnel ahead. The sounds decay too quickly for Gunny to even respond.
The tunnel falls silent, except for the faint hum of the walkie-talkie. Gunny's face sets in a grim expression, her hand instinctively going to her rifle. The sudden absence of sound makes everything feel more ominous, like the twilight itself is holding its breath. Gunny's expression turns resolute. She nods to Maya, then motions for the rest of the group to move forward into the darkness.
I imagine Maya stays at the back of the group. She's helping the wounded Morales walk along, as if they're doing a three-legged race together. Let's ask the Oracle if they discover evidence of what happened to Kuznetsov and Hernandez farther up in the tunnel. I rolled 6, which is an extreme result, meaning yes and. I take that to mean they discovered evidence of what happened, probably in the form of bodies thrown against the passage walls, and also the creature which did it.
I envision the creature as a massive, fungal-infected triceratops, its frill distorted by growths of dark, pulpy tissue, its eyes glowing with an unnatural hunger.
Yikes. An infected triceratops is terrifying. It must practically fill the entire tunnel, like a mole in a burrow.
Yeah, something like a huge tunnel dweller. The infection has made it bulkier, distorted its body, and changed its behavior completely. The tunnel erupts in a frenzy of gunfire and screams as the infected Triceratops charges forward, its bulk filling the passageway. Fungal growths pulsating, its twisted frill glowing with bioluminescence.
Let's leave it at that cliffhanger.
You're going to carry that weight